We often believe education is something given to us by institutions, by teachers, by degrees hanging on walls, but the truth is, education is a lifelong conversation you have with yourself. Long after classrooms are left behind, life continues to teach, and the ones who grow are not the ones with the highest certificates, but the ones with the deepest curiosity. Daily self-education is not about becoming perfect or knowing everything. It is about becoming aware, intentional, and awake in your own life. Every single day, life places a lesson in front of us. Sometimes it comes wrapped in success, sometimes in heartbreak, sometimes in silence. The question is not whether life is teaching you. The question is whether you are listening. When you decide to educate yourself daily, you stop waiting for permission to grow. You stop saying one day I will learn, and you start saying today I will understand one thing better than yesterday. Self-education begins with honesty. It asks you to look at your fears, your habits, your reactions, and ask why. Why do I react this way? Why does this situation trigger me? Why do I avoid growth even when I want change? This kind of learning is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Because once you understand yourself, no circumstance can fully control you. We live in a world overflowing with information, yet starving for wisdom. Reading a book does not change you unless it changes your thinking. Watching a lecture does not educate you unless it reshapes your actions. Daily self-education is not about consuming content. It is about digesting truth. It is about taking one idea and allowing it to transform how you speak, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. There will be days when learning feels heavy, when motivation feels distant, when life feels unfair. On those days, self-education may simply mean learning patience, learning how to breathe through pain, learning how to sit with discomfort without giving up on yourself. Not all lessons come from strength, some come from surrender. When you commit to learning every day, you slowly rewrite your identity. You are no longer just someone reacting to life. You become someone responding with awareness. You stop blaming circumstances and start building capacity. You realize that even when you cannot change the situation, you can educate your response to it. Self-education also teaches humility. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn. And this humility makes you kinder, more open, more grounded. It teaches you that growth is not a competition, it is a personal responsibility. You do not need to move faster than others, you only need to move forward from where you are. One of the most beautiful things about daily self-education is that no one can take it away from you. Opportunities can be lost, titles can fade, applause can disappear. But what you learn, what you internalize, what you become, those things stay. Education of the self is silent power. It works in the background, shaping your resilience, strengthening your voice, and expanding your vision. When you educate yourself daily, you stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You become your own teacher, your own mentor, your own source of light. You understand that growth is not loud, but it is unstoppable. One page read, one question asked, one habit changed. This is how transformation happens. So choose to learn today, even if it is slow. Choose to grow, even if it is uncomfortable. Choose to educate your mind, your heart, and your spirit daily. Because the moment you commit to self-education, you reclaim your power. And a person who learns every day is a person no limitation can hold forever. We grow up thinking that education is a certificate, a grade, a piece of paper that defines our worth, but the truth is that is only the beginning. Real education begins when you stop relying on someone else to tell you who you are, when you stop seeking validation from teachers, from society, from anyone outside yourself, and you start asking yourself the difficult questions that no one else can answer for you. Who am I when no one is watching? What drives me when the world is quiet? What am I afraid of admitting even to myself? Self-awareness is the first step, because until you know yourself, until you truly understand your thoughts, your triggers, your patterns, you cannot grow, no matter how many degrees you hold. Every success in life, every meaningful change, every moment of peace starts with a simple act, looking inward with honesty. And I know it is hard. I know it is terrifying to face the parts of yourself you have tried to hide. You will see your weaknesses, your regrets, the choices you made that hurt you or others, and it will sting. But that sting is a gift, because awareness is the only way to take control. Without it, you are drifting, reacting, letting life happen to you instead of creating it with intention. When you choose self-education, you are choosing to pay attention to your mind, your emotions, your patterns. You are choosing to ask yourself why you act the way you do, why you settle for less, why you sometimes hold yourself back even when you know you deserve more. This is not a one-time exercise. This is a daily commitment, a habit that will push you to sit with discomfort, to face your own reflection in moments when it is easier to look away. And every time you do, you grow. Every time you notice a fear and name it, you take a step forward. Every time you question a belief you inherited without thought, you expand. Self-awareness is the foundation of freedom. It teaches you that nothing outside can control your spirit unless you allow it. It shows you that your reactions, your choices, your mindset are in your hands, not in the hands of your circumstances, your environment, or the opinions of others. And when you combine this awareness with daily learning, you begin to see patterns in history, in human behavior, in your own life, and you understand not just what is happening, but why it is happening and how you can respond instead of reacting. Education is not just books, it is not just facts or skills. Education is mastery over yourself, and mastery begins with knowing yourself, embracing your story, acknowledging your flaws, celebrating your strengths, and being brave enough to face the parts of you that are uncomfortable, inconvenient, or even painful, because that is where the true growth lies. We live in a world obsessed with outward success, titles, salaries, applause, recognition, but the truth is, none of that can fill the gaps inside you. You can have every achievement, every accolade, every certificate, yet feel trapped, restless, or empty. Inner freedom is not given. It is earned through daily self-education. It is earned by the moments you spend learning about yourself, questioning your thoughts, examining your emotions, and challenging the limitations you unconsciously accept. When you educate yourself every single day, you start noticing patterns, why you react to criticism, why fear holds you back, why self-doubt whispers in your ear, and the more aware you become, the more control you take. True freedom is not about having no responsibilities. It is not about escaping challenges. It is about not being a prisoner of your mind. Each day you choose to read, to reflect, to ask difficult questions, to explore new perspectives. You are training your mind to be your ally rather than your enemy. The world cannot chain a person whose mind is free, because no opinion, no failure, no rejection can dictate your worth or your direction. Inner freedom is the soil in which all other success grows. When you have clarity in your mind, courage in your heart, and strength in your soul, the outer achievements follow naturally. But without this inner foundation, even the highest peak can feel hollow. Daily self-education also teaches resilience. Life will break you, test you, and try to convince you that your limits are permanent. But when why? Oh, spend time learning, observing, reflecting, and growing every day. You develop a mind that refuses to surrender, a heart that refuses to give up, and a spirit that refuses to settle. You begin to understand that circumstances are temporary, but knowledge, self-awareness, and inner strength are forever. You learn that patience is a skill, perspective is a choice, and growth is non-negotiable. And yes, this path is not easy. It asks you to slow down when the world demands speed, to reflect when the world demands reaction, to prioritize depth over distractions. It asks you to be uncomfortable, to stare at your weaknesses, to confront the truths you have avoided for years. But every small action, every page read, every thought examined, every habit corrected, is a brick laid in the foundation of your freedom. Freedom is not a place, it is a state of mind, and education is the key. When you educate yourself daily, you stop living on autopilot. You stop being defined by fear, opinion, or circumstance. You start making choices from a place of strength, wisdom, and clarity. You start showing up for yourself before seeking validation from anyone else. Daily self-education is the silent rebellion that frees your spirit, sharpens your mind, strengthens your heart, and prepares you to walk through life unshakable, unstoppable, and unbound. We often think knowledge is measured by how much we know, by the facts we can recite, the theories we understand, the skills we can demonstrate. But knowledge alone is empty if it does not change us. The true power of learning is revealed only when it transforms the way we act, the way we think, and the way we live. You can read hundreds of books, attend countless lectures, and listen to all the advice in the world. But if it does not change your decisions, your habits, your reactions, then it has no real impact. Transformation begins when knowledge meets courage, the courage to take what you have learned and apply it even when it is uncomfortable, even when it goes against what feels safe or familiar. Knowledge challenges you to face yourself, to examine your biases, to question your routines, and to confront the patterns that no one else can see for you. And this is not easy. Applying knowledge requires vulnerability because it asks you to admit that yesterday you were not perfect, that yesterday you made mistakes, that yesterday you allowed fear or laziness or doubt to control you. But when you take responsibility for what you know, when you allow learning to shape your choices, your life starts to change. Behavior is the mirror of understanding. You can claim to understand patience, but true understanding is revealed when you do not lash out in anger when tested. You can claim to understand compassion, but true understanding is revealed when you extend kindness, even to those who do not deserve it. You can claim to understand resilience, but true understanding is revealed when you stand up after failure instead of giving up. Knowledge becomes alive when it is practiced, when it is embodied, when it manifests in actions that reflect growth, maturity, and awareness. And here is the truth. Transformation is not instant. It is slow, deliberate, daily. It requires repetition, reflection, and a relentless commitment to align what you know with what you do. The moment you stop merely absorbing information and integrating it into your behavior, you step into real power. You no longer are a passive recipient of life. You become an active creator, someone who shapes your reality through intention and insight. Every decision becomes an opportunity to test your learning, every interaction a chance to reflect what you have internalized, every challenge a space to practice the wisdom you claim to have. Knowledge without action is like a seed that never meets soil. It will never grow, it will never bear fruit, it will never serve the world or yourself. But when knowledge transforms behavior, it becomes unstoppable. It builds character, influence, and freedom. It allows you to face fear, to break cycles, to inspire others not just with words, but with example. True education is not about memorizing answers. It is about living them, proving them, becoming the change you seek, and realizing that the most profound learning is the one that leaves a permanent mark on who you are, how you show up, and the legacy you create. We spend so much of our lives running from pain, avoiding failure, filling silence with noise, as if these moments are enemies to be escaped. But the truth is, they are the greatest teachers you will ever meet. Pain forces you to look inward, to confront what you have been ignoring, to recognize the cracks in your soul that need healing. It is uncomfortable, it is heavy, it is lonely sometimes, but it also carries a lesson that no book, no lecture, no classroom can ever give you. Failure is not a stop sign, it is a guidepost. It tells you what does not work, what needs adjustment, what your courage must rise above, and what your perseverance is capable of. Every failure, every mistake, every moment when you thought you could not go on is actually a teacher showing you the way, if only you have the eyes to see it and the heart to accept it. And silence, oh silence, people fear it. They flee from it. They fill it with distractions. But silence is where the deepest education happens. In silence, you meet yourself. You hear the whispers of your desires, the tremors of your fears, the voices of your untapped potential. In silence, you can reflect, you can plan. You can learn without interruption, without judgment, without expectation. Pain, failure, and silence are not punishments, they are invitations. They are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, more resilient, more compassionate. They teach patience when the world wants you to rush. They teach humility when pride tempts you to ignore your lessons. They teach empathy when your own suffering helps you see the suffering of others more clearly. And here is the secret: the more you embrace these teachers, the less they hurt. The more you face them, the more you allow them to shape you instead of break you, the more you understand that life is not about avoiding hardship, but about learning to dance with it, to extract wisdom from it, to rise above it with dignity. Every scar you carry, every tear you shed, every moment of quiet despair is actually a chapter of education, a curriculum designed by life itself. And the graduates of this school are those who understand that strength is born not from comfort, but from challenge. You will stumble, you will fail, you will sit in silence and feel the weight of it. And that is exactly when growth is happening. Do not fear these moments. Do not do not wish them away. Lean into them. Ask what they want to teach you. Take notes in your mind and heart. Apply what they show you in the way you live, the choices you make, the courage you summon. And one day, you will look back and realize that the moments you thought were unbearable were the moments that made you unbreakable. Pain, failure, and silence are the most patient, the most honest, and the most relentless teachers you will ever have. And the education they offer is priceless because it shapes your spirit, sharpens your mind, and strengthens your heart. We often measure learning by results, by grades, by how quickly we can master something. But the real power of learning is not in the speed or in the outcome. It is in the habit, in the consistency, in showing up every single day, even when it feels mundane or pointless. Consistency in learning is what shapes your character, your mindset, and ultimately your identity, far beyond the intelligence you accumulate. When you commit to learning daily, you are telling yourself, I value growth. I will not settle. I will become better than I was yesterday. It does not matter if progress is slow. It does not matter if others do not notice. It does not matter if the world seems to be moving faster than you. What matters is that you are moving, that you are present, that you are engaged in the process of becoming. Each small step, each page read, each reflection written, each skill practiced builds more than knowledge. It builds discipline, patience, focus, and resilience. Your identity begins to shift from someone who hopes to change to someone who actively changes. Consistency teaches endurance. You learn to persevere, even when motivation fades, even when life is hard, even when it seems like the lessons are repeating and progress is invisible. And this endurance shapes your identity because you start seeing yourself as someone who does not quit, someone who is reliable in their own growth, someone whose actions define them more than their thoughts or intentions. You start to internalize the truth that your habits matter more than your inspiration. Inspiration is fleeting, but consistency is permanent. And here is where intelligence alone fails. Intelligence can give you answers, but consistency builds wisdom. Intelligence can make you clever, but consistency makes you strong. Intelligence can impress others, but consistency transforms you from the inside out. When you show up every day to learn, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is inconvenient, even when the world tells you it is unnecessary, you are proving something to yourself. You are proving that you are capable of growth, that you are committed to becoming, that your identity is not fixed but evolving. This evolution is not dramatic, it is subtle. It is in the way you handle challenges, in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the patience you exercise when results are delayed, in the kindness you extend when it is not returned. Consistency shapes who you are at your core, and the more consistent you become, the more unstoppable you are, because the identity you build cannot be taken away by failure, criticism, or circumstance. It becomes your armor, your foundation, and your compass. Daily commitment to learning is not about rushing to the finish line. it is about creating a self that is resilient, capable, and unwavering. A self whose growth is not determined by chance, but by the daily actions taken to show up, to practice, to reflect, and to evolve. We live in a world that loves to put limits on people, that loves to tell us what we can or cannot do, who we are allowed to be, and what we are capable of achieving. But the truth is, the only limits that truly matter are the ones we accept. Daily self-education is the key that unlocks the cage others try to build around you. Every moment you spend learning, every thought you question, every habit you improve, every skill you practice, expands your boundaries in ways no one else can control. When you educate yourself daily, you begin to understand that growth is not dependent on opportunity, luck, or permission. Growth is a decision you make every morning when you choose to show up for yourself. You stop waiting for someone to hand you validation or approval because you realize that knowledge is freedom, and freedom is power. And this is where most people get stuck. They believe education is only what is given to them, only what society approves, only what is measured by certificates and degrees. But daily self-education is different. It is personal, intimate, relentless, and unstoppable. It is the process of turning curiosity into mastery, questions into insight, and information into transformation. The moment you make learning a daily habit, you stop being a passive participant in life and become the author of your own story. Challenges no longer intimidate you because you have prepared your mind to adapt, to learn, and to respond. Failures no longer define you because you see them as lessons, as experiments, as opportunities to grow smarter, stronger, and more capable. And yes, there will always be people who try to discourage you, who try to convince you that your aims are too big, that your goals are unrealistic, that your vision is impossible. But daily self-education builds an inner fortress that no criticism can penetrate, no doubt can shake, no limitation can confine. You start to see that the only thing standing between you and your potential is your commitment to learning, your willingness to invest in yourself, your courage to face discomfort, confusion, and failure, and keep moving forward anyway. Every book read, every skill practiced, every habit improved is a brick in the foundation of your limitless growth. And the beauty of it is that no one can take it away. Titles can fade, applause can disappear, opportunities can be delayed or denied, but knowledge, self-awareness, resilience, and skill acquired through consistent self-education remain yours forever. They give you choices when others say none exist. They give you strength when others say you are weak. They give you clarity when others try to cloud your vision. When you educate yourself daily, you are not just preparing for success, you are preparing for freedom, for independence, for the kind of life where your growth is controlled by no one but you, where no opinion, circumstance, or limitation can dictate what you become, and where your potential is defined only by how committed you are to learning, evolving, and showing up fully for yourself every single day.